with another pick a card. My name is Angel, aka the Angelic Muse, and I am an intuitive tarot reader. I am a Reiki practitioner, and I am here on YouTube. So anyway, I'm back with another pick a card. This one here is focusing on your shadow work. So I pulled the cards a little differently this time. So the first card for each pile, the first card is going to represent the shadow aspect in itself. The second card will represent why you are holding on to it. The third card will represent any hard truths, what is stopping you from or hindering you from in any way. And then the fourth card will represent how you can honor and nurture yourself when performing work or shadow work on yourself when it comes to that aspect. And then I also pulled two additional oracle cards, one from the message of the ancestors as well as one from the lessons card oracle, in order to just dive a little deeper into them. However, let me get into these piles. We have 3 of them, and we have Garnet for the first crystal here. I believe it's Garnet. For the second crystal, we have blue calcite. It's a raw blue calcite. And then for the third one, don't beat me up, but it's either lepidolite or lepidolite. I'm gonna go with lepidolite, but either way, you have 3 piles here to choose from today. All the timestamps will be down at the bottom, as well as all the decks that I'm using. If you're interested, you can also book a tarot reading session with me, a personal one, at my official website, www.theangelicmuse.com, or you can just go down below and click the link where it says book a personal session. I do intuitive tarot sessions as well as distance Reiki sessions right now. And you can also follow me on Instagram at theangelicmuse.com. I post like intuitive tarot reading. I mean, not intuitive tarot reading, intuitive guidance posts, pick a card readings randomly, some astrological facts, things of that nature. If you're into that, we can connect over there. But either way, without further ado, you can meditate on the piles if you want. Pause the video if you like. You can choose 1 pile. You can choose 2 piles. That's okay. And if you choose no piles, that's all right too. Try another reading because this one might not be for you. But either way, timestamps will be down below, and I will see you there. Hey pile 1. So if you chose the Garnet crystal, here's your reading. So we're going to start out with your tarot. So for your first card representing your shadow aspects, you have the Chariot. The reason you're holding on to this shadow aspect of yourself is due to the Strength card. Page of Pentacles represents what's being overlooked or avoided or missed due to this shadow aspect of yourself. And then the Two of Swords represents how you can better nurture yourself and care for yourself when it comes to this shadow aspect. So, with the Chariot card representing your shadow aspect, I think that what it's touching on is the fact that you may be like an overdoer, or like not an overdoer, but you may do things to the point where you kind of just forget about your feelings when it comes to them. For example, or you suppress your feelings when it comes to the harder things that you may have to deal with in life. I only say that because the Chariot in itself represents willpower and just resilience and determination and overcoming and just going. You know what I mean? So, and it's not a bad thing to be, you know, resilient or determined or any of these things. But when you are allowing those traits to overpower or dress up the sadness or the tiredness or the pain that you're dealing with, it does more harm than good when it comes time to like take care of yourself. You know, you're just in this do mode. And I see here with the Strength card, the reason you're holding on to it in the first place is because you almost feel like you have to, and you don't know how to turn it off, or you feel like you're just kind of accustomed to the fact that you are this way. But with the Strength card here, I mean, this could go one or two ways. She's either closing the lion's mouth or she's opening it to opening up to something. So I think that in this case it would be more of a closing, closing that fieriness in you. Not the fieriness, but like the part of you that just wants to go. I guess it would be kind of not dimming your fire, because I mean it stays lit, but it's just kind of just relaxing. Just relaxing and knowing that regardless of whatever it is that has to get done, that it will, because you already have that determination and drive within you. So it's not like you have to do all this extra stuff to perform and be in order to obtain the things that you want. I think that, I mean, you could hold on to these things due to anything from childhood conditioning, just, being like that as a child, or maybe you grew up and you had to take on more responsibilities than others, or you had more pressure put on you. There could be so many different reasons as to why you are in this overdrive mode, but I do think it's worth looking into, because strength goes both ways. A lot of people think strength is them being the dominant or the more masculine or the more assertive one in situations, whereas there's strength in quietness, there's strength in stillness, and there's strength in repair as well. So I definitely think it's worth exploring the other side of that strength that you have in you, because with this Page of Pentacles here, this represents what's being overlooked or missed or not taken into consideration. The Page of Pentacles, of all pentacles, they're all pages, so they're less experienced than others, but they're just beginning out. So I think that what it's causing you to do, especially with the Pentacles being the slowest going cards, or the slowest going element in the tarot, I think that you're missing vital steps because you're always in this, you're not taking the moment to slow down. So you may have moments where you have to like retrace your steps or go back and do extra, or you may totally miss it altogether. And then once you get to the finished product or the finished result or the end of things, I mean, it's what you could do, but I think a part of you maybe not even a part of you, but maybe your higher self knows that it could be better. So essentially a part of you, but maybe not you in the moment while you're doing it, but then afterwards you're like, okay, let me just, maybe not necessarily go back and do it over, but I think a part of you does know that this is an issue. It's becoming an issue for you. But with this Two of Swords here being how you can nurture yourself or take care of yourself, I think, again, going back to the Pentacles here, just slowing down. The Two of Swords, she has a blindfold on, she has swords, she's on guard, she's not moving, she's completely still. Like, I get the feeling, always when I look at her, I get the feeling like if somebody just walked a little too close to her, you just swipe, and I don't know, like it just seems very on guard. I don't say that for you to be on guard, but I say it for you to just be careful and be more strict with the way that with the work that you put out. Again, like I get this feeling of her just being like in her zone, like knowing, listen, I have to slow down for my benefit, and I just need to be still, maybe not making any decisions at all. I mean, unless you have to, but I'm just saying, like, not taking on so much when it comes to everything. Maybe leaving some decisions to other people if possible, or just really the words baby steps came to my mind. So just taking baby steps and really honoring the details of life instead of rushing and trying to get to the finish line. But yeah, let me go into your oracle cards, and then I also pulled a lesson card for you all. So your lesson card is patience. It says, I accept that everything happens in divine order. So that just goes back to the, your shadow work. Being patient and slowing down and appreciating the slowdown, because that's where you see, like, that's where all the color comes in. That's where all the details and the word, like, just think of like reading a book. You read the first page, then you read the last page. You don't even know what happened in the middle because you were so quick to try to get to the end. And it's like you missed it. And that's the beautiful parts of life, is not missing it. I understand that sometimes it may be uncomfortable, but even in that uncomfortableness, there's growth there. There's so much more than just the uncomfortableness or the irritation or the feeling of not wanting to be in it. So if you find yourself being in this chariot go mode all the time, then yes, slow down altogether for sure. Because it'll greatly benefit you. But if you find yourself in these chariot moments when like things may get bad, or like you find yourself needing to dominate a certain situation and show your strength in that way, try the ladder and see what happens there. I mean, again, I can't tell you, and tarot doesn't tell you what to do, but from the way that I'm seeing these cards, it seems like you've been going in the same direction for a while now, and you need that a change of pace is necessary here in order to fully operate at your best self. Even with this artist card here, it says creativity. But with the artist, like, you are the painter of your life. When you're rushing to do things, you're not really embracing the creative aspects of it. You don't really get to put in those finishing touches, those little, the little things you might like. So let me read the oracle here. And that's on page 81, and it reads, there's an unfortunate tendency, particularly in Western culture, to negate artistic expression. The dominance of left brain and linear thinking, and the experience of being shamed by parents, family, peers, and society for pursuing creative endeavors such as drawing, painting, singing, and so on, follows us into adulthood. These early experiences can get embedded in the psyche and the body and inhibit expression. Yet the archetype of the artist ancestor exists in everyone to some degree or another. It can show up when you appreciate the natural beauty of the world, or when you gaze at a work of art. It can tug at your heartstrings and your inner artist, inspiring you to pause a few moments in breathtaking awe, and prompt you to take action with your submerged artistic talents. The art of manifesting artistic expression requires you to listen closely to what inspires you, and then take the necessary steps to see your vision through to completion. When artistic expression manifests in the physical realm, it has the distinct possibility of inspiring others. The artist ancestor that is hiding behind a cloak of fear and self-consciousness is willing to support you in this endeavor, as long as you're willing to allow them free rein. What is it that inspires you? What blocks you from following through? What are the fears that so far have prevented you from making art? What stories do you keep telling yourself that inhibit a passionate expression of this artistic legacy? As you identify these fears, know that the best way to overcome them is through taking risks and going for it. If you already consider yourself an artist, what has stopped you from moving your creative expressions further out into the world? It's time to honor those urgings, to seek the support of the ancestors for taking these risks, and to consistently set aside time to act on those internal promptings. After all, what have you got to lose? Okay, so maybe for some, that goes back to what I was saying about the details, but maybe for some of you, I get the feeling that with this chariot card, maybe you're doing something in particular. Like, maybe you're following a certain path that people in your path, like your family, may have followed, or just whatever the case may be, and you're doing it because you feel like you're doing the right thing, and it's it'll keep the line strong, and you know, your child or children, if you want them, will do the same thing. Like, that's just what I felt from that card there. So you really have to be honest with yourself with these things, because you will look back 5-10 years down the line and be stuck in a decision that you didn't even want in the first place if you don't start to, like, when you feel those little urges and those feelings come up, you know, you have to, and I understand feelings are fleeting and everything, but if this is a recurring thought or feeling, or you know, just it's embedded in you to the point where you're like, I genuinely just do not, like, this is just not it for me, this doesn't feel right for my path, and it doesn't align with me in every way, then you have to honor that at some point. You don't have to, but you're going to want to, and your soul is going to urge you to, because it knows what's right for you. So I think it's important to just be discerning and be very, very, I want to say particular, but be very, very, I can't think of the word right now, but just be mindful. Just that, I don't like to keep saying the word mindful. I feel like I always say it, but that's like a general word. Just be very, very mindful of how and what you're taking on here, because you'll look like the speed in which this feels like it's going, and then the steps that are being missed, and the slowdown that is needed, and it just seems very, very necessary that you nurture yourself and be patient with yourself as you make decisions, or if you are able to allow people to make certain decisions for you, so take the burden off of you, whatever. Just be patient with yourself and embrace the stillness and the quietness, because we all need silence in a moment's time, just to be able to really gather our thoughts and know what it is that we're talking about, know what it is that we're doing, or whatever it is in life. So yeah, Power One, this is all I have for you. So I pray this resonates with you. If it does, please let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe. I genuinely appreciate when you guys do that. And if you'd like to book a personal session with me, I do provide tarot and intuitive tarot sessions, as well as distance Reiki sessions on my website at www.theangelicmuse.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram at theangelicmuse if you'd like to do that as well. But I thank you so much for watching, and I pray you enjoyed the rest of your day or night. Hey, Pal 2. So if you chose the blue calcite, I believe, here's your reading. All about your shadow work. So for your first card representing your the aspect, you have the Strength card. The reason you are holding on to it is due to the Devil card. What it is holding you back or stopping you from is being in the King of Wands energy, but this is in reverse. And then you have the Two of Wands upright, that represents how you can nurture yourself when performing or doing shadow work on yourself with this trait. So first off, I just want to say that you may have been drawn to Power One, because this is just giving me similar energy in a way, especially with the two to close up. They had the Two of Swords, but anyway, so your shadow aspect being represented by the Strength card, maybe you have like this, I don't want to call it a mean streak, but it's a lot of red in this card and orangish, like fiery energy. Maybe you are a fire sign like myself, and no, we don't have mean streaks, but I'll say we do have fiery tempers when they are not regulated and controlled in the way that they should be. This Strength card here is just it's just giving me the feeling that you kind of like you dominate, like you like to dominate and overpower a conversation, especially when you're right. Like it's like when you know you're right, and everybody else is wrong, and that's not necessarily the case. While we can be right on certain things, there's always another side to things. And I think that being open to both sides, whether we agree or not, at times can be conducive to the conversation, and it can actually benefit the relationships you're in, because the damage that can be done, especially when we do this to our loved ones or to ourselves or just people closest to us, it can be irreparable at times. It's not necessarily something that you can do over. So that you may have had moments where you've done things or said things that you couldn't take back, and you know, you kind of had to just eat that. And that's just because your shadow trait of yourself, or this aspect of yourself, wasn't fully regulated or isn't fully regulated in the way that it should be. The Devil card here represents the reason why you're holding on to it. The Devil card, in itself, addictions, codependency, drugs, just that's just the representation of the card, but it could be a number of different things for any of you. You could be in this energy because of a toxic relationship you're in, or maybe it could be the people you're around, the crowd you're hanging around. Maybe you're just in this energy where you're just constantly surrounded by darkness or negativity, and your surroundings are negatively affecting that aspect of yourself, or it's pulling it out of you more. But I mean, the beautiful thing about the Devil card, you know, a lot of people are fearful of it when they don't understand the tarot. There is no necessarily negative. Some aspects can feel more darker or like more tense than others. However, the chains are still loosely wrapped around their necks, so you always have an out when it comes to these things. Like, you don't necessarily have to be chained or accustomed or binded to these ways just because they're there. There's for every problem there is a solution. I love to tell myself that, because it's the truth. Whether I know the solution at the time or not is irrelevant. So I think that me saying that to this particular group could benefit them, because it just seems like you're in this hard stage, like where you're, it feels like you're in a constant battle with other people, but it's because of the battle within yourself that you're dealing with it anyway. Like, it all starts internally, so you just want to wipe it clean, or rid yourself from the inside out of whether it's things that people have put in your mind, in your head, whether it's things you put in your body or people you're around. With this King of Wands and energy, this is what the shadow aspect, the hard truth about it, and the shadow aspect is stopping you from. And that's being in your King of Wands energy. You're not fully able to make these decisions because it's not really you. You may be like, what's the word? You may be overpowering outwardly. Like, when people look at you, they're like, oh, well, she's or he's just nasty, and they just want it their way, or whatever the case may be, when in reality it's not that way. It's just that I think what you're used to is having control. You're used to calling the shots, and now that you're at a different stage in your life, it's not being met with the same energy as it was when everybody else was comfortable with you doing it. And I think that, or not even everybody was comfortable with, but when you were left to do it for yourself. But now it's come a time where you're trying to find this way of really coming out of it, and you can't, or you feel like you can't, rather. With this Two of Wands here being how you can nurture yourself when performing shadow work when it comes to this trait. Two of Wands, I think the fact that he's holding this world in his hand is it stands out to me, because I think that what you should do is continue to have that independence within you, continue to embrace the fact that you have gotten this far more than likely on your own than any, with the help of anyone else. But know that everyone in the world that you meet is not going to be like everyone in your past. So you're going to encounter people who want to help you, who want to come in and they have advice and they have perspectives and experiences that can actually help you to grow and expand your world and to expand your enlightenment, so that when it comes time for you to be in these moments where you feel like you have to control it or dominate or be fiery or be like, or get up there with a person, you realize that you don't, because they're not the same as the ones that you may have encountered in the past, or they're not, not even they're not, but the world's not. World's always changing. People are always changing. Things are always changing. So in order to keep up with the times, we have to be able to adapt and become accustomed to, the new ways, the new parts of ourselves that we have to get to know. Let me read your oracle cards to see what they have for me. So grief is your lesson. It says, I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. So yeah, that just goes back to the strength card here. Maybe the shadow aspect of you doing and always having that control or whatever is something that you have a hard time not, ridding yourself of. You have a hard time letting go of. Whereas if you, because it feels like grief, it feels like I don't have the power anymore. But when you let go and you just ease up a bit, you actually realize that you still do have it to an extent, but you're able to relax a lot more, so you can appreciate the fact that you don't have to do so much, if that makes sense. I pray this makes sense, because I'm picking up a whole lot with this particular. It's just so much. It's a lot. So then with your master DNA or master ancestor DNA, it says adaptation. And I'm going to read that one out the book. It is on page 51. And it says, DNA, the cosmic serpent, is the ancestor for all living organisms. While this may require you to stretch your imagination, evidence for our shared ancestry is embedded in the genetic code, where similarities abound with all other organisms. Even in more complex organisms, there are basic genetic structures that govern functions passed along over billions of years. Throughout history, DNA collectives continuously evolved into innumerable forms that had what was required to live cooperatively with the environmental and ecological conditions of the planet during a given era. DNA is also called the blueprint of life, as it contains instructions for an organism to grow, develop, survive, and reproduce. While you cannot change the structure of your DNA, the contemporary science of epigenetics is demonstrating that there are ways to modify how the genes express. Though it was once considered so, your DNA is not your fate or destiny. Contemplate this. You are a product of billions of years of evolution that required life to go through countless adaptations and physical manifestations before arriving as the one reading these words. Consider how miraculous that is and how deeply and profoundly connected you are to the vast web of life, past and present. Consider all that it took to create this conscious being called you, as well as the countless adaptations you have had to make to get to this point in your life. Drawing this card indicates it is a critical and powerful period in your life, a healing passage where you will have to confront several challenges that will require you to draw upon your remarkable and well-earned abilities to adapt to whatever life presents. Trust the messages you receive from the ancestors, as they will indicate what action or non-action is required to meet these challenges. You will come to know in your heart of hearts that they are constantly with you, whether you're aware of their presence or not. The result of meeting these challenges with grace and courage will strengthen your relationship with spirit. So that just goes back to what I was saying with this Two of Wands here when it comes to embracing. This is how you nurture yourself and embrace yourself when performing this shadow work. You have, not even have to, but you just gotta know that we're forever evolving and changing. And, you know, this right here, becoming accustomed to something, that's not even necessarily in your DNA. Like, that's not something that you have to even consider. So know that anything that is hindering you in this moment, any feelings of like overpowering or any feelings of like I just need to dominate, no, you don't. And you just need to adapt. You need to adapt to the changes. Again, you need to adapt to the fact that you're not in that same environment, or if you are, then you would, depending on if you're still, with the devil card being the reason you're holding on to it, some of you could still be in this feeling of you could be in a toxic relationship, you could be substance abuse, you could have be around the wrong crowds or whatever the case may be, and that could be influencing you in this way. However, if you're one of the ones moving away from it and you're just trying to figure out why it's still bothering you, it's because you feel accustomed to it. You feel like it is the way, and it's not. Understand that you do have full control over what you do, what you say, how you act, and all those things, regardless of if it's on that level of like of overpowering. Like, you can have power without overpowering. You can be in control without over controlling. So I think it's definitely worth just considering the fact that life is forever changing, and you want to adapt to that. So you're not going to always want to be in this mode whenever a situation that challenges you arises, because you want to approach them differently each time, because you're dealing with different people, different things, different scenarios and situations. So pile 2, this is all I have for you. I pray it resonates. Please let me know down in the comments if it does. Like and subscribe. I love when you do that. Or you can book a personal session with me online. I do tarot and distance Reiki sessions at my website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram at theangelicmuse if you like to as well. But other than that, I thank you so much for being here, and I pray you enjoy the rest of your day or night. Last but not least, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the Lepidolite or the Lepidolite, whatever it's pronounced as, I'm sorry. This is your reading. And we're going to start out with your tarot as usual. So for your first card, you have the 9 of Wands, upright, representing your shadow aspect. The 5 of Swords represents the reason why you have it or you make use of it. 9 of Swords represents what it's holding you back from, or the hard truth about it, what it's keeping you from. And then the the Wheel of Fortune represents how you can nurture and honor yourself when working with this aspect of yourself. So I think that here, I'm getting the feeling that your shadow aspect here is in itself is defensiveness to the point where you don't allow other people in, and you just kind of isolate yourself. And I don't know why a woe is me type attitude came to me. Like, you'll have all these accomplishments, you've worked so hard to get to where you are, but you just feel like everybody's out to get you. When that's the reality of that being true is very unlikely, considering the amount of people or experiences that you haven't faced yet. So I can see why the shadow aspect you will be talking you out of, like, maybe, so here with this Five of Swords here representing the reason why you have it in the first place, I automatically thought of like maybe childhood bullying, or just being in more unfavorable circumstances or conversations than favorable ones, where you feel like you already know how this is going to turn out, so you don't even kind of waste your time with it, or feel like you're wasting your time with it. But in turn, it just offers you closed offness. Like, it doesn't have anything else to offer you. Being in this energy doesn't offer you much, and it causes you to be in like this constipated type, restricted feeling. And it's interesting here because with the Nine of Swords, this card is supposed to represent what it's keeping you from, or, you know, the hard truth about it. And Nine of Swords isn't like the space of the Nine of Swords when you're like crying or staying awake at night or just feeling your feelings in itself can be overwhelming. But I feel like because you close yourself off so much, you don't even give yourself a chance to cry or feel your emotions when it comes to the whatever it is that you're dealing with at the time. The Nine of Swords does typically, it can represent you going through something, but sometimes it can represent someone else, you crying over someone else. So maybe there's a specific situation for some of you that is like one situation, and it caused you to react to every other situation, as opposed to maybe 2 or 3 of the same situations where you just become accustomed to it. For some of you, it could be one big thing that you're just holding on to, and you're afraid to go out there and experience the full range of motions of it, because you've been hurt before, betrayed before, lied to before. It could be anything here. But I think the one thing with this Wheel of Fortune card here, how you can nurture yourself and just when working with this shadow aspect of yourself, or when those feelings pop up, is just know that everything in life happens for a reason. Whether you understand it in the moment when it's happening or not is not always going to be relevant, because it will make sense to you later. And I feel like that is a lesson that we all can take with us and just be mindful of or considerate of in those moments of turmoil or stressful times, because you have to know that God's not out to get you. And so, for example, you went through this hard thing and you don't want to feel the range of emotions that come with it. But just imagine you're not this is when you have to take a look and ask, whether you believe in a higher power, God, universe, energy, source, whatever. I call it God, I call him God, and that's what it is. So whether you believe in that or not, whether you believe in something bigger than you or not, or just simply yourself, you have to know that. Now, if you're out to get you, that's one thing. So then all these people and these things are happening to you because you brought them onto yourself, right? No, wrong. So just know, like, if you have someone, Spirit's so giving, so kind, God's so loving, so patient with us, and at times we will have people or different energies placed in front of us, not as a test, but just as a, like, it's just life. So we'll have someone there and they'll do us wrong or whatever, and then we'll feel the hurt from it, but we don't fully process it. We don't go through it entirely. We stop at the part where they hurt us, where it's like, no, God wants you to keep going, get through it, so you don't allow that energy to have a hold over you. You take that lesson that you learned and apply it moving forward. That is how it works. So if you look at, like, for me, God is a parent, and the same way, not in the same way, because it's a whole different energy, it's a whole different level, but if you think of a parent and the way that they guide you, or they're supposed to guide you and teach you things, and you're supposed to learn and experience and grow, it's the same concept here. So do not allow your outside experiences or your own emotions to close you off, or to keep you, or your own mind, because sometimes the mind will do that too. It'll limit you. Nine of Swords here is very liberating, though. The Nine of Wands here just feels very closed off. But this Nine of Swords here could be very liberating to you mentally. You know, nines represent the Hermit card. That's introspection and just digging a little deeper to find out the whys. And I think that would definitely benefit you, and just understanding that the why is because there are details to it, but the why is because life just happens. The life goes on. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason, and that reason is for your greater good. Keep that in mind, and despite how hard it is, just go into it knowing. I tend to do that too. Just go into it knowing, okay, regardless of what this may feel like right now, I know that it's going to work out for me in the end. And that's all that matters. Just got to get to the end. You know what I mean? Just we have to talk to ourselves in these ways at times. So, I mean, just do what works for you. I'm not telling you to be exactly like me or do what I do, because, shoot, I'm just human too. So, let me get into your oracle cards, though. So your lesson card for this shadow aspect is blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. And that just goes back to, like, for those of you, and if you do believe in a high power, no, but at the same time, yes. For those of you who don't, you have to know that anything that you're experiencing, and the only reason I say for those who don't, because I know that a wide range of people are going to view this. That does not dictate my beliefs. I believe what I believe, but I just try to be respectful and just be mindful of the audience that's here. So if it's just you, then just know that you are the one that's going to get yourself out of that. A part of you does play a role in it entirely, whether God's involved or not. You do have to pull yourself out of it, but just know that the blame here goes to no one. The blame here goes to no one, because if you really sat down and you looked at all sides of it, you would find a part for everyone in it. So it's not right to throw it all on you, the next person, or whatever the case may be. Just know that you have responsibility for your well-being, what you do, how you act, what you say, and all the good things, and then whatever else comes from that, whether that be an action on someone else's part or just the consequences in another way, you did what you had to do, and you took part in your well-being. You made sure you were good, and you embraced every side of you, and not just, you didn't close yourself off to, you know, whatever it is that you're dealing with, whatever emotions you were dealing with, you actually faced them. That's the part that you have to tap into. And then with this celestial card, boundless, know that boundless is the opposite of this Nine of Wands. Boundless is just infinite. It's just constant. It's forever. Like, you have to know that this box that you're placing yourself in here, it's it's going to corner you off. It's going to close you in, and then you're going to have all this here. You're going to have all this space or this potential that's untapped, because you're basing your present experiences off of a shadow aspect of yourself that was built from things or experiences in the past. And then with your ancestor message being celestial, boundless, and that is on page 54. And it says, there are various tales in different cultures that describe how beings that dwelt somewhere within the infinite cosmos came to Earth periodically in her tumultuous 4.5 billion years of existence. Perhaps they came to check on the progression of the planet's evolution, as well as the evolution of life that existed here in its constantly shifting and adapting variations. There has been evidence that highly advanced beings, or aliens, likely introduced the sophisticated tools in the technology and even entire civilizations prior to anthropological records in recorded human history. These beings, for some reason, chose to instill periodic advancements in consciousness, such as the use of tools. This characteristic of self-reflective consciousness became particularly strong in the humanoid named Homo sapiens, such that for the next tens of thousands of years, this type of human came to conquer other humans and dominate them, and ultimately nearly the entire planet. This self-reflective consciousness possessed by humans easily collaborated and coexisted with the consciousness of all other life forms on the planet, initially having an innate and deep knowing that humans were only one part of the web of life. Yet this awareness eventually became dominated by narcissistic survival needs masked by so-called rational thinking. What was lost was the keen awareness of our context without which, as a species, humans would not survive. It says here, you're out of balance, overly focused on physical and mundane realities, worrying about the future, reviewing the past, preoccupied with everything but the present moment. You've lost perspective and even more so, feel lost, such that simply living has become merely surviving. It's time to remove the shackles and burdens of your troubles and worries, regain a greater perspective, and restore the relationship between your physical self and your higher self. Shed your troubles for a while by standing on the ground and releasing these energies to the Earth Mother, thanking her for receiving and transforming them. Refresh your sense of the immense boundlessness of the universe by gazing at the stars and the limitless celestial realm for a few minutes, taking it all in as you breathe slowly. Let your imagination roam. Let it be boundless. Imagine how those light beings, these star people, are an important part of our ancestral heritage. Make it a point to do this as often as you can to stay in balance and connected to the limitless universe before your eyes. We do come from the stars. So, again, going back to this 9 of Wands energy, this box you're in, this box that your mind has you in, is not allowing you to fully embrace the range of emotions, the life that comes with experience, and you're just kind of playing it safe here. And it's not really safe because it's guarded, it's defensive, it's boxed, you know? And you're only going to go as far as you allow yourself to go. You know, God can see it for you all day. Like, or your higher self, like I said, going back to if you don't believe in anything, if you just believe in you and your higher self. But your higher self and God knows, you know, at the end of the day, what moves you need to make. So it's up to you. If you're going to follow it, you're going to follow it. And if not, then, you know. But I do feel like embracing the fact that life happens for a reason will definitely, in those moments where you feel like you need to keep your guard up, just know, like, no, yes, life does happen for a reason, and I want to find out what that reason is. I don't want to continue to be fearful of the reason. I don't want to continue to be fearful of the pain, because there's so much power in experiencing or being broken down and be built back up. You know, it doesn't necessarily feel good, no, but everything in life isn't going to always feel good. But don't be the cause of that. Like, don't be the reason you stay stuck. That's pretty much the message here as far as this shadow aspect goes. And don't allow other people's what they've done to you, their experiences, their words, their actions. Don't allow them to dictate how you are now in the present. You will miss out on so much just staying stuck in the past. I know that, and I only said this, I'm only saying this for pile 3, but, and it's not even like a make it about me thing, but I know that one thing I learned in therapy, I did EMDR therapy, and one thing that she explained to me is that the mind actually does loop. Like if you have a bad experience and you kind of continue to repeat it in your head, even though other things may have happened throughout that experience, you just kind of keep that one bad thing in your mind. Like if you're in a relationship and then something bad happens, you just keep replaying that one thing over and over again, and it kind of loops. Your mind literally loops it. So you use the EMDR therapy to break it away. But I'm not here recommending that, because there are so many different forms of therapy outside of cognitive talking or EMDR. But I'm just saying that the mind does have a way of playing tricks on you, and you want to make it a point not to let it, especially in those familiar times that feel like somewhere you've been before. But anyway, pile 3, thank you so much for being here. I pray this resonates with you. If it does, let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe. I love when you all do that. I appreciate it so much. You can also book a personal tarot session with me or a distance Reiki session with me at www.theangelicmuse.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram at theangelicmuse, and I will meet you guys over there. But other than that, I pray you all enjoy the rest of your day or night, and I thank you so much again for watching.